Hi friends, welcome to our channel. So in this video, we are going to discuss about RESTful web services by using Spring Boot, JPA and H2 database. So in this video, we are going to discuss about all the four methods: get, post, put and delete method. All the four HTTP methods we are going to discuss in this video. So that in the single video itself we can cover the entire RESTful web services by using Spring Boot along with a database. So already in our previous video we have discussed about uh, what is web services and what is RESTful web services and what are the methods in RESTful web services, and we have discussed about get methods. So with the help of that previous video, we got some basic idea how to create a REST controller in Spring Boot application and how to get the response by using a get method. In case if you haven't watched that video, so please watch that video. So the link is available in the description so that you will be getting some basic idea so that it's easy to understand this particular video. Also, in this video, we are going to cover the entire REST RESTful web services by using Spring Boot along with the JPA and H2 database. So, finally, to understand this particular video, so you must be familiar how to use Spring Boot JPA with H2 database. So already we have a video regarding Spring Boot JPA with H2 database. So that video link is also available in the description of this video. So please watch these two videos so that you will be getting a basic idea and it will be easy to understand this particular video. So let us get into this video. So as we familiar, we have REST web services using HTTP protocol. So HTTP protocol has two methods: get, post, put, delete. So in this video, we are going to cover all the HTTP or REST methods by using a database. I mean by using Spring Boot JPA and H2 database. So let us create one fresh project so that I can explain from the scratch. I'm just creating a starter project and I will say let it be the project name is Spring Boot REST JPA H2. So this is my project name and I have selected Maven and Java version as 8 and let it be core Java itself and language is Java and let it be my package name is com.valan. So now I will click next to select my dependencies. Already we are familiar. Already in our previous video itself we have discussed how to select the dependencies. So what are the dependencies I am going to select? I am going to select a dependency for Spring Web and I want to work on a web services. Also I am selecting a dependency for Dev tool and Jersey. Also in this video, we are going to use Spring JPA as well as H2 database. So I will be selecting all the required dependencies and then I will say finish. It will create my Spring Boot project along with the selected dependencies. So this may take little time because we have selected many dependencies. Yeah, I think almost it's ready. Yes, it's building my project. So finally you can see my project is ready. So in this project, so first what I will do, I will go to my property files. So in that property files, I will say I want to run a server on a port number. Let it be 8282. So I'm specifying my embedded Tomcat port number. Also, I will say that I want to enable my H2 database console. So let me select the property correctly. Yeah. Spring.h2.console enable. I will say I want to enable H2 database console. Nothing but my embedded database. As we discussed in our Spring Boot JPA itself. So we know that H2 is an embedded database in case of Spring Boot application. So I am enabling. So also I have to specify my data source URL. So let me select that property as well. Let me filter it data source. You can see I have a property data source URL to specify my URL of my database. Also, I have an option to set username as well as password. But right now I'm not setting any username password. I'm just specifying only my database URL should be jdbc colon h2 colon mem colon. The database name is Valan. So these things already we have discussed. So that's why I'm moving little fast. So finally, I have specified my data source URL. If I want, I can set data source username password as well. Otherwise, by default, it will take username as SK, password as blank. I'm just going with the default username password. So finally, we have specified our server port number and we have enabled our H2 database console. Also, we have specified our database URL. So here Valan is my database name. So finally, I think I can close my property files. So now I will go to my src slash main Java. So here I'm going to create my controller. So I'm just saying that I want to create a normal class. I will put it in a separate package called controller, and I will say that so the controller name is let it be my REST controller. I'm just doing the same as our previous video. I mean the get method video. I'm just creating a package com.controller. Under that, I'm creating a my REST controller. So let me click finish. So already, as we discussed in our previous video, to make a classes REST controller, It is not a normal controller now, it's not a web controller now, it is going to be act as a rest controller. So I have to use annotation called rest controller, so that it will become a rest controller. And here I am going to make a request mapping. Oh, sorry, I'm going to make a get mapping. So which we already discussed in our get method itself. I'm going to make a get method mapping. So you know that get mapping is the annotation for get request or get method. I mean HTTP get method. So I'm saying that if the request is coming for get method, also if the path is employees, then I want to return all the employees. So for that, right now I'm just defining a method. The method is going to return a list of employee. Let it be all employees. So finally, with the help of this method, I'm going to, if the request is coming for a path slash employees with get method, so then my intention is I want to select all the employees from my table and I have to return it in the form of list. So first let me import this list, nothing but array list from util package, and let me create one empty array list as of now. I'm creating an empty array list right now. It is going to store all the employees object. So that's why I'm applying a generics employee, and I'm just returning this list. So I need to write the remaining code to read a list of employees from my database. So first of all, what I have to do, I have to create my Pojo class. So employee Pojo class or bean class. So let me create a class. Let it be employee. Let me put it in a package called com.valan. Let it be bean, or you can say Pojo. So it has created my bean class, and here I'm going to maintain three property, one for id, another one for employee name, and another one for employee salary. So all the three properties I have declared, and as usual, since it's a bean class, I'm just creating my getters and setters. It has generated my getters and setters. Also, for a safer side, I will be making a default constructor as well. I'm just making default constructor in my bean class. And better let me create a constructor with argument it as well, so that if it is required I can use it, so that I no need to come back to this one and change the code once again. I'm generating a constructor using fields. I'm selecting I want to define a constructor with id name salary field. So let it be there, so that so we no need to come back and modify this bean class once again. So finally my bean class is also ready. So let me import it. So now our controller is ready, our bean class is ready. So now what we have to do? We have to make a mapping. So already in our previous video itself we have discussed. I mean Spring Boot with JPA H2 itself we have discussed how to make a mapping. I'm just doing the same steps. I'm using annotation called entity. I'm using annotation called table. So in case if anybody is new to this JPA concept, please go through that recording at first so that you will be getting a clear understanding about this particular video. So I'm using the same thing. So table, I will say name equal to TBL underscore employee. So I'm saying that I want to create a table and the table name must be TBL underscore employee. And the first column I'm making as primary key with the help of ID annotation. And I'm mapping this first column with the column, sorry, first property with the column, and column name should be ID. You can give any table column name. For example, I'm just using the same name. The same thing I will do it for name as well as salary. For name, I will change the column name as name, and salary, I will change the column name as salary. Finally, my Pojo class or Bean class is ready with JPA mapping. So I have done my mapping. Also in my application.property files, I have specified my database URL as well. So which means, so my database will be ready. If I run this code right now, I will be getting a database. In that database, I will get this particular table along with these three columns. So these things already we have verified in our previous video itself. So directly I'm going to the next one. So in the REST controller, I have written a get mapping. If the request is coming for a method type get, and if it is requesting for all the employees, then I have to return all the employee from my database. So which means I have to create my DAO class or repository class, so which is going to fetch data from the database. So as we discussed in our JPA has two video itself, coming to Spring Boot, we no need to write any database or CRUD operation code. So you know what is CRUD? Create, read, update, delete. We no need to write any code. Simply we can make a interface. I will say that package name is com.valan. Let me give a package name is repo. Nothing but repository. So which is going to interact with my database. So nothing but your DAO only. So I'm just making a name as repo. Either you can give DAO or you can give a name as repo. So nothing but repository. So I will say that, so this is my employee repo interface. You can see I'm just creating an interface. I'm not creating a class. As we already familiar, in case of Spring Boot, we no need to write any database manipulation code. Yes, Spring Boot is saying that simply you extend root repository, we will be getting the implementation. In the code repository, I have to specify which type of which type of object I am going to manipulate and what is the primary key type. As per mine, the primary key type is integer. So that's it. So my repo is ready. And as we know already, since it's an interface, how to get the object, how to get the implementation object in my controller. I will be creating a reference. Yes, it's a interface. I can create only the reference. With the help of dependency injection or with the help of auto wide annotation, I can get the implementation. So which mean what? So this employee repo interface is extending crude repository, and Spring Boot or Spring framework is will create a implementation automatically, and during runtime that is going to create the object of the implementation class, and it is going to inject into our controller class, nothing but rest controller class. So how we are specifying the dependency injection with the help of at the rate auto wire. So now everything is ready. So now we need to write a code, that's it. So what I am going to do, first I am going to complete this get mapping to return all the employees. So I will say repo dot find all. So this find all is a method. So from where I am getting this method? I am getting this method from crude repository. Already my repo extended crude repository. So I have a find all method which is going to return all the objects, all the employee objects. We are in the repository we have specified. So what type of object we are going to manipulate. So finally the moment I say find all, it is going to return all the employees of employee object in the form of iterable. You can see the return type. It is going to return. It is not directly returning a list. It is returning a iterable. So what I will do, I will convert into iterator. I will convert into iterator. So already we are familiar how to iterate by using iterator. I'm saying that I want to iterate all the employee object. That will be the reference is ID. So what I'm going to iterate all the employee objects one by one, and each iteration I will be getting a employee object. So that I'm going to store into my array list, which we have already created. I will say list dot add this array list. Finally, if the request is coming for a get method and the path is employees, it is going to get a employee list from my repository. So repository is going to get a employee records from the table. So finally this particular method will get all the employee list, and I'm storing into the collection. For example, I'm storing into the array list and I'm returning this array list. So the same way, let me write one more mapping, the same get mapping. I can copy paste the same code, but this time I'm saying that I want to find particular employee. So I will say get employee. The method name I will make it as get employee. You can see previously it was the path is employees to return all the employees, but right now I'm saying that I want to get particular employee. How to get the particular employee? By using primary key, nothing but ID, nothing but our path variable. So which we have already discussed in our previous get method video. So in the URL, I'm going to say in the get method itself, I'm saying that I want to get particular employee, and this is the ID. I will pass it during runtime. So how to access this variable? Very simple, which we have already discussed in our previous video. I will say the annotation called path variable, and I will say it is a integer ID. I will say int ID. And here what I will do, I want to return an employee object because right now I'm going to return only one employee object. I will say return type is employee, and I will say return my repository object dot get or find by ID. You can see find by ID. Again, it's a predefined method from crude repository interface, which we have already inherited. And what it is doing, it is accepting integer wrapper class object as an argument, not a primitive type, right? So I have to change this argument, and it is returning what? Employee object in the form of optional class. It is returning employee object in the form of optional class. So let me select repo.find by id, and I'm passing id. For safer side, I will make it as wrapper type. And it is saying that you can look at the error message. It's saying that so type mismatch cannot convert from optional class to employee. So from this optional class, I'm going to get my employee object with the help of get method. That's it. So finally, we have done two operation or two crude functionality, getting all employees, and second one is get employee by ID. Nothing but to get the particular employee. First, let us verify up to this much whether it is working fine or not. So I hope we have added a, yeah, we have added a mapping and our repository also. Yes, it's done. So hopefully it has to work fine. So let me run this application as a Spring Boot. So I will say run as Spring Boot app. Okay, I think it started. Let me verify the port number. Yeah, it is started on a port number 828, so which means it is started correctly. So I will go to my browser. Already we have discussed in our previous video how to get the get method. I will say localhost colon 8282 slash employees. You can look at the output. It will say empty array list. Because right now there is no record in my table. So that's why it is returning empty array list. Let us do one thing. Let us access our console. I mean H2 console, and we'll insert some record. 8282 slash H2 hyphen console. Yes, it is correct URL, and I haven't set any username password in my property file. So I will go with the default. I will connect. You can see the table is already created, but if I check right now, so definitely the table will be empty. Yes, the table is empty. So what I am going to insert some record, insert into pbl underscore employee values. Let it be 101. Name is Valan. Salary is 2000. I'm executing now. Now I have inserted one record. Now if I go and check my URL, so the REST controller has to return one record. You can see it is returning one record in the form of JSON. So already in our get method itself we have discussed, when we are returning an object, employee object, it will be the REST controller response will be in the form of JSON. You can see it is displaying the ID 101, name and salary. Let me insert one more record. Let it be 102 and the name is, let it be Arasu, and let the salary will be 3000. So let me insert this once again. Now two records in my table. Yes, in my table I have two records. The same way, if I verify my get request, you can see the REST controller is fetching two records from my employee DAO or employee repository. Now let us verify the second one also. Second one is to get a particular employee, and I need to I need to pass that ID as a input in the path itself. So let me verify that one also. So this time I'm sending a get request for an employee. I will say I want to fetch 102. You can see it is displaying only 102 record. So hope friends we are clear up to this much. So finally now we are familiar how to create a REST get mapping or get functionality or get method, and how to make a interaction between our repository and table, right? So finally we have done two database transaction. One is find all, second one is find by ID. So find all is nothing but it is going to return all the employee, and find by ID. So two things we have done by using get mapping. So the remaining three methods, you know, get for reading. So second one is post, nothing but for writing, nothing but creating a employee object and storing into the database. So post, and put is nothing but updating, and delete is nothing but delete. But here one point we have to understand, because already we are familiar about sublet. In sublet itself we know that get method will send the data via browser URL. So that's why it is working fine. Because the get method will be HTTP, get method will send the data via address bar. So which we are already familiar in our sublet itself. So finally get method will work with the help of browser itself. But coming to the remaining post or put or delete, so these three will send the data via HTTP protocol body. So please understand the, you can revise for sublet topics so that you will get the idea. So get method will send the data via address bar. So that's why by using browser itself, I can access my get mapping functionalities from the REST web application, web services. But coming to the remaining three, post or put or delete, so these three are going to send the data via HTTP protocol body, right? So which mean what? Coming to the remaining three, I cannot get the request by using browser, because I need to send the data via HTTP protocol body. So for that we need a client. So we need a client. So in real time, what we will do, we will be writing a client code to send the data via HTTP protocol body. But now it's just a demo purpose. So that's why I don't want to make that much complicated here. I'm going to use a famous tool called Postman. So Postman is a it's a famous tool to work with REST API. I mean to test our output. Otherwise, we have to write a client side code and we have to test everything. So the code will be too much lengthy. Yes, right now our intention is what we have to understand how the REST web services are working. To test our output, yes, we have a client tool called Postman. It's a very simple tool and it's a freely available. You can go to Google and you can type Postman download. You can download it and you can install it. So first we'll understand what actually this Postman is doing. You can see the Postman. It is having all the four method: get, post, put, and delete. So by using this Postman, I can send any type of request. For get method, yes, by using browser itself I can do. But in case of remaining methods, I have to use a client. So the best client tool is Postman. So I'm using the Postman. You can download and you can install it. First, let me select get and we'll understand what actually it's doing. Let me say I want to get a response from google.com and I will say send. You can see it will send a request to google.com and it will be fetching the details in the form of HTML or XML or the normal plain text. Right? It's not a HTML output, so it's a response from the Google server. Right? So finally, by using this Postman, I can send any type of request. So in case of get request, maybe this Postman is not required. Yes, we can get it from the browser itself. But when we are working on a post or delete or put, we have to send the data via HTTP protocol body. So that's why this Postman is required to test our output. Postman is a HTTP client tool. So let us go back to our code. So now, hope friends, you got some idea about what is Postman and what is the usage of this Postman client in case of RESTful web services. So now let us go to our code. So what I am going to do, already we have done, let me make a full screen of this code. So already we have done two get mapping to read the records, to read all or to read one record. So now let us go to the another method, nothing but writing or creating an employee object. So that's nothing but post mapping. You know, post is nothing but writing. So I will say it's a post mapping and I will say if the request method is post and if it is coming for a path create employee, then I want to insert employee object into my table. So post is nothing but writing, nothing but creating object and storing into the database. So what I will do, I will define a method. Since it's writing into the database, I can make the return type as void. So I will be making a return type as void. I will say it is insert employee. If I want to insert a employee, what I will do, I need ID, name, salary as a input. If I want to insert a employee, I need ID, name, salary as a input. Right. Yes, the employee object is having three property: ID, name, salary, as well as table is also having three property: ID, name, salary. So finally, if I want to insert an employee, I need ID, name, salary. So how I will send this ID name with the help of post method? I will send this ID name inside HTTP protocol body. Inside, please mark my word. BS post is not a URL one, right? BS get will send the data via URL, but post the remaining method will send the data via HTTP protocol body. So finally, when I request this particular path from post method, I will be sending ID, name, salary as a input inside HTTP protocol body. How to access that HTTP protocol body data? So very simple. I will be going for annotation request body to access the values from the HTTP protocol body. So what are the values it is passing? It is going to pass ID, name, salary. So that I'm going to bind and I'm going to store with my employee object. Which means internally it is going to invoke your employee object setter method to set ID, name, salary. So once we complete this code, I will show you how to send input in HTTP protocol body by using Postman. So finally, here again, I have to write a code repository dot save employee object. That's it. So friends, we are understanding the usage of another new annotation at the rate request body to get data or input or to access the data from the HTTP protocol body. So that data I'm going to bind it to my employee object, and since it's a post method, I will be using annotation post mapping, and this is same as our JPA method which we have already discussed. I'm storing this employee object. So now let us verify whether it is working fine or not. So let me go to my application once again. Let me open my database once again. Let me connect, and it's a embedded database. I hope you remember. You can look at my table. So right now it's a empty because you know it's a embedded database. Whenever the application is restarting, the data will get vanished because it will be creating a fresh database, right? In case if you want to connect with your external database, okay, in case if you want to connect with your external database, in the property file you will say your external database URL, but right now I'm connecting with the embedded database. If you want to make some data permanently in the database URL, you can say your external database URL. So right now you can see, so as per my database, right now the table is empty. So what I am going to do, I am going to send the post request to write one employee object. So I will go to my Postman client, and here I will say this time I am going to send the post method. I am going to send the post method, and I will say that the URL is http colon localhost colon, I think port number 8282. Yeah. So port number is 8282. As what is my request mapping now? For a post method, it is create employee. So I have to give a spelling and case sensitive correctly. I will say create employee. Right. So here what we have to do, we have to send our data. Before sending this request, so right now we have written our URL, but before sending this request we have to send our ID, name, salary in the HTTP protocol body. So first what I will do, I will go to headers. I will say that you can type your option, okay, automatically, since already have tried, that's why it is coming by default. So in your case you have to type, so you will say what is your content type, right? You can see once you type you will be getting this option. You have to type your content type. So first what I am going to do, I am going to tell So my content type is I'm going to send the data in the form of JSON. So first in header, what I will do, I will set my content type. I will say that I'm sending a data application slash JSON format. So again, here also you can type, you will be getting the option. So now I will go to my body. You can see I have a body tab. So here I need to send my data, whether it is form data or none, means I'm not sending any data. So you can say whether you are sending a data from form, or you can say, because right now we are not using any HTML form. I will be saying that I'm going to send a raw data in the form of JSON. So I'm just writing one JSON employee. Very simple. Writing JSON is very simple. So I will say first column is ID and value should be 823. Comma. Second column name is name and value is, let it be John. I'm trying to insert a new record so that physically we can verify our output. And third column is salary, and salary is, let it be 5,000. So this is my JSON code. So first what I am doing, in the I will be selecting post and I will select the, I will write my URL, and in header I will say that I'm going to send the data in the form of JSON, and I will go to body tab. So here I will write my one employee record in the form of JSON. So now what I will do, I will click send. Yes, now everything is ready. And make sure that to write up JSON you are selecting a raw type. And I will send the I will click on this send. Let us verify. So here I will not be getting any output, because as per our code it's a void type. So we are not returning anything. So now how to test that output? Either I can do one thing, I have to go to my database. I can check my record whether the employee record is there or not. You can see 823 is inserted. So this is one way. Otherwise, as usual, by using our browser itself, since it's a get method, I can select the record and I can verify the output. Or else, simply I can use my Postman client itself. I will say that I want to send a get request for the same URL, but I'm going to select all the employees. Let us verify. So now you can see it is displaying your output. We are right now we have only one employee, so it is displaying one employee. The same way, if I say employee has 823, it has to select the particular employee. So hope friends, so we are clear how to use post method and how to send the uh, post uh, input or data in HTML protocol body with the help of our Postman, right? So now since we are familiar about all those things, the remaining thing I think easily we can move fastly. We are remaining only two things. So let me write the code in a single shot. So next one is, for example, I want to update a record. Since it's updating, I hope you are remember, I have to use an annotation called put mapping. So put for update. I will say put mapping, and the path is, let it be update employee. To update employee, let me change the method as well. To update employee, again I need ID, I mean existing ID, new employee name, new salary, right? Yes, to update a record, I need again all the properties, ID, name, salary. So how will I send? Again, it's a put mapping. So I will be sending the data in the form of, I mean, inside HTTP protocol body. How to access that data? With the help of request body. With the help of request body annotation. And I will store it into my employee bean object. So for updating, there is no separate method in JPA. Save method will act as insert as well as update. If the ID is, if the primary key is existing, then it will be acting as update. If the primary key is not existing, it will be acting as a insert. The same way, I will define another one for delete as well. I will be giving an annotation called at the rate delete mapping. And here I will say the URL is delete employee. And I will say delete employee. In case of deleting a employee, so I need only the primary key, so which is nothing but integer ID. And for deleting, we have a separate method delete by ID to delete the record. So that's it, friends. So finally, you can see we have covered all the crude operation. So find all, find by ID, and insert, update, delete. So finally, you can see how it is easy in case of a Spring Boot application. So that's the main aim of Spring Boot. So finally, with the help of Spring Boot, easily we can achieve our RESTful web services, also microservices. Right. So now anyhow, let us verify this output. So first what I am going to do, the application is started freshly. So first what I am going to do, I am going to save one employee object. Let me select the method as post, and I will say this time I am creating an employee. Create employee. Already we have selected our uh, header. I think it's, yeah, it is selected as application, and in the body we are sending one record in the form of JSON 823. So now if I run this code, it has to insert a employee. So now the record is inserted. Since the return type is void, it is not displaying anything. So how to verify? Very simple. I will send the get request to display all the employees. Anyhow, we have only one record. Otherwise, you can say employees slash 823 to get the particular record. So already we have done. Anyhow, let us go with the employees so that I no need to change the URL once again. And I will say get method. I will send. You can see it is displaying a result. It is displaying ID is 823, name is John, salary is 5,000. So finally record is saved, that we have verified. So now what we have to do, we have to update. Let for update, we have to send the put request, and I will say for 823 I want to make this salary as maybe 8,000. Right. So now the URL I have to change. Yes, for put employee, I hope you remember. Let me confirm it once again. Yeah, for put mapping, it is update employee. Here it is delete employee. So for updating, we have given the path name as update employee. So let me send the request. We'll verify whether it is updating. Yes, it has updated. But in update method also, the return type is void. Yes, we haven't written any value, so that's why there is no response here. But how to verify? It's very simple. I will be going for get method, and I will say that I want to list out all the employees to check whether I'm getting a new salary or not. Because right now we change the salary as 8,000. Let us verify it. You can see the salary has changed as 8,000, and it is fetching a data from our table. If I check my table also, I will be have the same record, right? So now anyhow, let us check our table as well. I have to reconnect it. Yes, we are getting a REST response from the repository. The repository is getting a data from our table. You can see I have the same record. So finally, we have verified get method, post method, and put method to update. So the last one, I want to delete a record. To delete a record, you know that I hope you remember our path. I'm going to delete a employee. Sorry. Yeah, okay, correct. I'm going to delete a employee, and in the body I have to send ID. You can look at the difference between previous one. So in case of previous one, we have sent the data in the URL, nothing but path variable. Yes, it's a get mapping. So here I cannot use that data, right? Yes, here delete is going to send the data in the form of request body, right? So finally, it's a delete employee. I will say that it's a delete employee, and I need to send only one data, nothing but ID. So what I will do, yes, JSON is for complete employee, right? If you are deleting a object, deleting a record by using object, then you can send it in the form of JSON. But right now, what we have written a code, we have written a code to delete a record by using ID, which means I have to send only ID, not an entire employee object. So what I will do, I will go to instead of raw, I will be selecting body instead of raw. I will go to form data. So here I will say that I want to select a record by using a primary key called ID, and the record which I want to delete is 823. So that ID I will be passing here. Right. So now, yeah, it's in delete method and delete employee, and we are passing ID as 823. Let us run. Again, I will not get any. Okay, I think it's throwing some error. So if you are getting this kind of message, mean it's throwing some error. Let us read the error message. Required request body is missing. My control employee. I think we are sending correctly, right? We are sending in the request body only. Okay, we'll do one thing. I will make it as form data. I have given form data only. I think it's expecting maybe path variable. Let me check my previous code once again. Okay, I think it is expecting the path variable. So I think that's why the error. So let us do one thing. And here we are sending the data via request body. Let's try it now. Okay, now it is restarted. So first let me do one thing. Let me insert one record. Yes, it is freshly started. So I will be selecting post and I will say create employee and I will say raw type. I'm sending a JSON 823 and header also correct. Create employee. Let me send it. Okay, record is inserted and I will say I want to list out all the employees to verify whether it is inserted successfully or not. Okay, it is displaying all the records. So now what I am going to do, I am going to send a delete request. So I will say delete and delete employee, delete employee. Let me make sure the spelling as well. Delete employee, and I'm going to send as a id, and here also I will be sending the 823. Yes, it is right now as per our code we need to pass one path variable, right? So that's why I'm sending here also 823. No, still it is not working. Where it is going wrong? Let me do one thing. Let me remove this annotation. I think it's taking from the path variable. I mean form data, right? It is not in the form of JSON. I think that's why. Let me remove this path variable as well. Yes, for delete method it is not required. Let me remove this. Yes, we are not sending in the form of JSON. So if it is in the form of JSON, we have to convert into request body. But right now, I think it's not required. So let us try it once again. I'm just inserting one record since it started newly and raw type as okay 823. It's there. Yes, object is created. Let us verify with get method to select all employees. Send. Yes, it is displaying the employee. Let us give the delete method and I will say delete employee and in the form data I'm sending ID and value is 823. Let us click delete. Sorry, let us send the request. Okay, now it's deleted. Okay, so because it's hope friends you are understanding the reason. It is because of that request body annotation. Yes, right now I'm not sending a raw data, I'm sending a form data. Right? Yes, we are sending a ID variable as a form data. So in case of form data, you no need to give. Yes, it's only one data, right? But when you want to convert a JSON into employee bean object, so then you have to say request body. It's because of that annotation only. And since it's a delete, again it is sending a data via HTTP protocol body only. So that's why you no need to use path variable as well. So finally, let us verify. So we have run our delete method. Let us verify with get method employees, I will say. Yeah, now you can see it is a empty because the record is deleted. So friends, so you got some idea how to use RESTful web services by using Spring Boot. Also, we have done with the database as well. You can see the repository is actually getting a fetching a data from the database. So finally, you can see it's very simple to understand RESTful web services. So we have mainly four annotation at the rate get mapping, at the rate post mapping, at the rate put mapping, and at the rate delete mapping. And sometimes in case of get, we will be using a variable path variable, and same way coming to the remaining, if you are sending a raw data in the form of JSON, you will be using at the rate request body. So friends, we are clear about our entire RESTful web services in a single video itself. So thanks friends for watching this video. If you like this video, please subscribe our channel and click on the bell symbol so that as soon as I upload a new topics, you will be getting the notification. Also, you can share it with your friends.